What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are having an amazing day. Today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to tint your headlights or taillights. Same process for either one, obviously. It's a very, very simple and easy process. I am by no means an expert. This is actually my first time doing this. So I think I can relate with most of you that are watching this video, because chances are you're watching it to kind of get an idea of if you can do it yourself and how to do it yourself. So I'll walk you guys through the process. I'll link all the materials down in the comment section below, and this will be a super quick and easy video. If you're new to the channel, my name is Luke. I post all kinds of cool car content every week, a lot of Audi stuff, all kinds of other cars. So if you haven't done so, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you guys enjoy this video and or find it helpful, please go ahead and smash that like button, guys. It really does help out. Alright, enough of that. Let's get into the install. Alright guys, so I've gone ahead and I already did one side, so I can prove to you that the method does work. So this is what the finished product looks like on this side. Just very clean and sleek. Honestly, not positive if I like it better than this red, because that kind of turns it into like a maroonish color, but nevertheless, we're still going to show you guys how to do it. One thing I want to point out before we get into doing the other side is just to show you guys that there's no bubbles over here. All these edges are tucked very nicely. So this process does work and it will give you a clean result. To give you guys a shortened run through before I go ahead and do it, I cut the piece of tint out to the size of the taillight, obviously. Cleaned off the taillight really well, and then essentially I just slapped it on there, used a little heat, and squeegeed it out and basically cut the edges and was good to go. Now I know most of the time when people do tints or they install like taillight tint, they use you know, like soapy water, and they put it underneath the tint and on top of it to kind of make it easier. So I ended up not doing that, one, because it's a little bit more work, it's a little messier, and two, this is a lighter tint, so it's actually a thinner film, so it kind of acts a little bit more like a vinyl wrap, so you can kind of just heat it and move it around, and you don't necessarily need to wet it. I thought I was gonna have problems running into like bubbling and stuff like that, but it actually turned out beautiful, no bubbles, nothing like that. So this method does work. I'm not positive if it'll work on like a darker tint, like something along the lines of this, because this is the tint that we're using today. The darker tint's obviously going to be a thicker film, and you might have to use some soapy water and squeegee for that, but honestly you could probably still get away with doing this. Alright guys, so essentially first thing you're going to want to do is just measure out your piece. So literally just pretty much fit it in here. Make sure you cover the whole section you want. Go ahead and mark it with your finger like that and go cut it. The next thing you're going to want to do is clean off your taillight. My taillights happen to be pretty clean right now, so I'm just going to basically wipe them down really well with some isopropyl alcohol. If you guys do have some kind of gunk on your taillights, like any type of tar or anything like that, you're going to want to clay bar that out. So just go to your local auto parts store and get a clay bar kit. But for now, I'm just going to wipe these down with isopropyl and we'll be good to go. Make sure you get in all of your edges very nicely, because that's the most important part. You're going to be tucking in there, so that needs to be the cleanest. Now that we have our piece of vinyl, you guys can cut it more to size if you want, but we're going to be cutting around the edges anyway, so I'll just keep this piece because it's easier. Now, like I said, this isn't the typical process for tinting a taillight, but this is how I did it, and it's a lot easier than going through soaping everything down. So first what I did was I heat up the vinyl just a little bit to kind of get it a little more malleable in a sense, and then I will heat up the taillight just a little bit so that it's, you know, a warmer surface for it to stick to. The glue will kind of stick to it easier. So let's do that. Just like that, guys, nothing too crazy. Just get it a little bit warmer so that it's, you know, not as stiff. Then you're gonna wanna basically peel back one side of it. Once you have one side peeled back like so, essentially, very simple, just slap it on there. Don't try to, you know, fully tack it down or anything, just get it on there so it covers the taillight nice and evenly. Now, you're gonna wanna grab your squeegee, and essentially, rule of thumb, anytime you're working with any type of vinyl or tint, at least my rule of thumb is, always start in the middle and work your way out each direction. I mean, it doesn't really apply because this is such a small piece, but essentially, if you're working on a longer piece like this, if you work it all in one direction, you know, if you work it all the way over to here, you're gonna get a big bunch of wrinkles bunched up over here. So if you start in the middle, like so, then you kind of divide it in half how many wrinkles are on each side, so it kind of, you know, relieves some tension in the vinyl. So go ahead and just make yourself a nice line right down the middle like this. So we have our nice line here, and essentially just work it in each direction. So if you have some wrinkles, pick up the vinyl and just work them out like so. Super, super easy, guys. If you notice you're starting to get some wrinkles, be careful around that area. A lot of times you can kind of just work them right out like so. But sometimes if you go over them too fast and too rough, they'll kind of crunch up. So just be careful when you notice some wrinkles forming. And then go ahead and just kind of get it all set up. So now, as you guys can see, this side is completely done. And now we just need to work the rest of it over this way. And just like that, we're done squeegeeing. I mean, you can go over and kind of just make sure that you got everything. But this tail light is done. Now we can just go around and kind of make sure all of our edges are set nicely. And then we're on to cutting. And heat up around the edges just so you make sure everything sets in nicely. Go ahead, take your squeegee. Don't push too hard because you don't want to push right through the vinyl. But, you know, go over it easily and just let it set right in beautifully. Like so. Voila. Now that we're done with squeegeeing, we'll go get our knife and we will start to cut this. Now you're gonna want a knife with a nice sharp blade, because if your blade is dull, it kind of tends to get caught up on the vinyl and it kind of will drag it and mess it up. So make sure you have a nice fresh blade on there. And essentially, you're just gonna want to stick it in the crack in between, you know, the car and the taillight. And essentially, you're gonna want to rest the knife on top of the taillight, so flat like so. And just kind of let the knife do all the work and glide right through. Make sure you're not kind of turning the knife like that, or else you'll get caught up, you know, either on your car or on your taillight. Once you get it all the way in, you can just glide it right down. If you kind of notice you're in a spot where you do start to get hung up, go ahead and just make yourself a new hole and go back right to where you were. Nice and easily. See, now we're good to go. It's all cut and set, we can go around and begin to tuck our edges. So essentially, you're just going to want to run your squeegee. Like I said, not too much pressure. If it is too tight of a surface, go ahead and use the other side. Just get it in there, and as you guys can see, it's beginning to kind of sit very nicely. Now, if you find that some spots aren't sticking down as well as others, in addition, corners, you're going to want to just take your heat gun, go around all the edges. And lay them down that way. The heat really just kind of helps to activate that glue. Once you guys have tucked all of your edges, you are completely done. If you guys see any bubbles, you can kind of still work them out. You can really just kind of work them out with your finger. That's the easiest way to get them out. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and do this side now. I'm just going to speed this up because this is the same exact process as this one over here. So essentially, just follow the same exact steps that I did on this one. You guys might even just have one tail light. But yeah, everything is the same process as long as you stick to that main rule of thumb where when you put the vinyl down, start in the middle and work half of it this way, the other half this way, or up or down, whichever way you want. Alright everybody, as you guys can can see, we are completely done. Like I said earlier in the video, that process was so easy, so simple, and it works. There's no bubbles, it's easy to tuck your edges, and it looks beautiful. The whole thing, I wanna say, took me, I don't know, maybe like a half hour, 45 minutes to do both sides. Very, very easy and simple. Just follow what I said, guys, and you will have no problem doing this yourself. Like I said, this was my first time tinting taillights. I do have experience with vinyl wrap, but it's not too difficult. The biggest thing is just take your time and be precise. Let's get this thing outside and we'll get the car turned on so that the lights are on, and we'll get some cool shots and see how it looks out there in the light. Now that we are out in the light, these things are looking pretty beautiful. I wasn't the hugest fan at first, but they are kind of starting to grow on me. I think they'll look even cooler at night when like the actual lights inside of the taillights come on. They might even be on right now, but I just can't see them because it's so bright out here. I don't know if I'm gonna keep these on, but I'm definitely gonna rock them for a little while. I think it's kind of a cool look. I've never been a huge fan of taillight tint, but this is like a lighter tint, so I do kind of like it. But yeah, with all that being said, today's video is officially over. I hope you guys found it helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. I can't emphasize enough how simple and easy this is. Hope you guys found my technique and how I did it very helpful. If you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to smash that like button. Have any questions or comments, let me know down in the comment section below. If you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It means the world to me, guys. Thank you so much. Peace out.